Hello, welcome to my channel, A Blast Budget. And if you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you're notified that I am budgeting. Before I get started, if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back to budget with me and support me during this financial journey as I navigate through how to make my money stretch through the month. And to all of my viewers, I hope after this video, you will consider subscribing. Video we were setting up for October week 2. I did have some numbers written in, but I didn't actually close out the whole budget. So we are now going to be closing out October week 2, and we're going to be going through the whole month of October, and then we're going to close out October and set up for November. So we have a lot to catch up on. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our week 2 October paycheck budget tracker. So we're going to go ahead and go over the actual side. So for source number 4, we're going to start with our inflow section. Source number 4, we received $43.35. For source number 3, we did receive $10.03. For account number 1, we rolled over $1,014.19. For account number 2, we rolled over $1,290.63. For account number 3, we did roll over $723.74. For source number 4, that source came in at $1,000, and then we had another source number 4 come in at $160. So altogether, our inflow total for week number 2 in October was $4,241.94. So now we're going to go ahead and check out the bills that we had to pay for week 2 of October. And by the way, that ran from the 6th all the way through the 12th for me. So our Netflix was $6.99. Our internet was $51.24. Best Buy was $61.78. Apple storage was $2.99. Our Klarna Etsy bill was $28.85. Our Klarna Amazon bill was $38.06. And the rent, my portion, came out at $169. So altogether, our fixed expenses for week number 2 was $358.91. So we had a leftover of $3,883.03. So I went ahead and brought that down to our week 2 variable expenses. So for gas, for week 2, we spent $0. Household, we spent $45.30. Food out, we spent $35.94. For me, I spent $164.57. For daughter, she spent $321.85. We did have to purchase her graduation cap and gown and sweater and things that she needed for graduation. So this is why she was over budget in this category. I didn't know that they were sending out like the graduation purchase things around this time, or else I would have budgeted for it, but it came up as a surprise. I knew she was graduating, but I didn't expect to buy all that stuff right now. So we went ahead and took care of her for her graduation, as far as cap and gown and diploma frame and all the class of 2025 things that she wanted. For my son, he spent $0. Miscellaneous, we spent $174.27, and for groceries, we spent $30.04. So our variable expenses for week 2 was $771.97. Our leftover was $3,111.06. In funds, so I did bring that $3,111.06 over here. My emergency did receive $1,000. My 100 envelope for number 15 received $30. Number 16 received $32. 17 received $34, and 18 received $36. So altogether, our sinking fund total was $1,132. That did leave us a leftover of $1,979. So what I went ahead and did, just bring that down here to our extra savings, what we're going to be rolling over for next week, week 3 of October. So in account number 1, we actually rolled over $809.92. For account number 2, we rolled over $459.38. And account number 3, we rolled over $709.76. So altogether, our savings total was $1,979.06 with 0 left over. So this is a look at week 2's paycheck budget tracker. Now we're going to go ahead and look at week 3. Like I said, I was keeping up with my budget. I just wasn't recording it. So now I am able to sit down and have time to record videos. We're going to go ahead and get started with October paycheck budget tracker for week 3. This run from the 13th all the way through the 19th for me. So we're going to go ahead and start with our inflow section on the budgeted side. So source number 4, I budgeted $1,000. Source number 1, I budgeted $300. Rollover, I budgeted $809.92. For rollover in account number 2, I had budgeted $459.38. For account number 3, I budgeted $709.76. So for our inflow total for week 1, I had budgeted $3,279.06. What actually happened for our inflow section for source number 1, we have received $640 and I believe that's 70 cents. I think that should have been 70 cents. Let me, because I don't have, let me see. See, my days are cold without you, but I'm hurting while I'm near you. And though my heart can't take no more, I keep on running back to you. See, my days are cold without you, but I'm hurting while I'm near you. And though my heart can't take no more, I keep on running back to you. Baby, I don't know why you're treating me so bad. Okay, so this is supposed to be 07. So, I'm just going to mark an X right here and put 07. Okay, so what actually happened was we received $640.07. We received source number 3 at $10.03. Source number 1 came in at $663. Rollover in account number 1 came in at $809.92. Rollover in account number 2 came in at $459.38. Rollover from account number 3 actually came in at $709.76. And our car maintenance came in at $75. So altogether, our inflow total for week number 3 of October was $3,367.16. So now we are going to go ahead and look at the bills that came out week 3. Okay, so for our bills this week, week number 3, we had car insurance. I budgeted $251. That actually was $250.66. For Disney Plus, well, car insurance is due on the 14th. Disney Plus is due on the 15th. I budgeted $7.99, and that's exactly what came out. The Way is due on the 13th. I budgeted $30. That's exactly what came out. For the lights were due on the 15th. I budgeted $100, but the bill was actually $63.36. So it is coming down from the summer months. We haven't been running any heaters or air conditioners, so that is our bill. Apple Care for my iPhone is due on the 17th. I budgeted $13.49, and that's exactly what came out. For Google Storage, that is due on the 20th and not the 19th. I have budgeted $199, and that did not come out this week. So altogether, our fixed expense total I had budgeted for was $404.74, and it was actually $365.50. So when I had subtracted our inflow from our fixed expenses, that left us with a budgeted amount of $2,874.59. But actually, we had a leftover of $3,001.66. So I did go ahead and bring that down here to our week 3 variable expenses. I had budgeted a leftover of $2,874.59, and we actually had $3,001.66. So for gas, I budgeted $60 for the week. We did not get any gas. Household, I budgeted $0 for the week. We spent $0. For food out, I budgeted $200 for the week. We spent $121.46. For me, I budgeted $150. I spent $210.69. My daughter, I budgeted her $50. She spent $37.61. My son, I budgeted him $0. He spent $0. Miscellaneous, I budgeted $30. We actually spent $363.90. For groceries, I budgeted $80. We spent $95.63. And for savings used, I had budgeted $0, and we had actually used $75 worth of our savings. So altogether, I had budgeted $570 to spend on variable expenses, but we actually spent over that at $904.29. Okay, so for our budgeted side leftover, we budgeted $2,304.59 to roll over, but actually we have $2,097.37 to roll over to our sinking funds for week 3. So as you can see, we have our sinking funds right here. We stuffed our emergency. We budgeted to stuff our emergency, the 100 envelopes. And I did have some money going to my bill pay account. So for the budgeted side, we had budgeted $1,000 to go into emergency. I budgeted $38 to go into my number 19 envelope and $40 to go into number 20. But actually, our emergency got $0. The 100 envelopes did get $38.40, and my bill pay did receive $400. This $400 is for next month's bills. It's actually for one bill, which is our car insurance. So that's why I just put that money away. So when I do need that money, it will be there for me to pay our car insurance next month. So altogether, our sinking funds total, we had budgeted $1,078, but we actually put away $478. So we had budgeted to have a leftover of $1,226.59. But actually, we had a leftover of $1,619.37. Okay, so for our extra savings down here, we have our rollover accounts. Account number 1, we had budgeted $628.40 to roll over, but actually $649.07 rolled over. Account number 2, we had budgeted $68.24 to roll over, but actually we had $440.35 rolling over. And then account number 3, we did have budgeted $529.95, but actually we had the same amount, $529.95 rollover. So altogether, our savings total, we had budgeted $1,226.59 to save, but actually we saved $1,619.37. Okay, you guys, so this is a look at week 3's October paycheck budget tracker. A lot went on. You know, the more money you make, the more you kind of spend. So this is how this week's paycheck budget tracker is looking. Now we are going to go ahead and look at week 4 October paycheck budget tracker. Okay, so we are now looking at week 4's October paycheck budget tracker. We are now going to go ahead and get started with week number 4. Our paycheck date ran from October 20th through the 26th. For me, I like to start on Sunday and on Saturday. So we're going to go ahead and start with the inflow section. So for our info section, we just had rollover come in. For account number 1, I budgeted $649.07, and that's exactly what happened. For account number 2, I budgeted $440.35 to roll over, and that's exactly what happened. And in account number 3, I had budgeted $529.95 to roll over, and that's exactly what happened. And source number 4, I budgeted $1,000 to come in, and that's exactly what happened. Source number 3, I did not budget for, but it did come in at $10.03. So altogether, our budgeted total was $2,619.37. But actually, our inflow for week 4 was $2,629.40. So now that we have our inflow established, we're going to go ahead and look at the fixed expenses, which are the bills for week 4. So I have my Apple storage due on the 20th. I have my renter's insurance due on the 24th. I have my Pandora due on the 21st. My Amazon Prime on the 20th. My Klarna for my Amazon purchase on the 21st. The water on the 25th. Weight Watchers on the 26th. And Google storage on the 20th. For Apple storage, I budgeted $299, and that's exactly what happened. For my renter's insurance, I budgeted $24.07, and that's exactly what happened. My Pandora, I budgeted $5.99, and that's exactly what happened. Amazon Prime, I budgeted $7.60, and that's exactly what happened. My Klarna Amazon purchase, I budgeted $38.06, and that's exactly what came out. For my water bill for the cooler, my rental, I budgeted $6.99, and that's exactly what happened. Like I said, Weight Watchers, I did not budget for. It was $11, and I forgot to budget for Google storage, and that was $1.99. So altogether, we have budgeted our fixed expenses to be $85.70, but actually we spent $98.69. So we had a budgeted leftover of $2,533.67, but actually we had a leftover of $2,530.71. So well, I didn't write this down. So I'm gonna go ahead and just write that down. So $2,533.67, $2,530.71. Okay, so for our variable expenses for week 4, we have gas budgeted at $60, household budgeted at $0, food out budgeted at $30, me budgeted at $0, daughter $0, son $0, miscellaneous $30, groceries $80, car wash, car accessories $0, and then a transfer at $0. So we actually spent $111.14 on gas this week. Household did receive $0. Food out received $8.92. Me, I received $85.73. For a daughter, she received $149.01. Son did receive $0. Miscellaneous received $58.84. Groceries, we did not buy groceries this week. My car wash, car accessories, we went and got the car washed at $10. And then I did have a transfer come in at $200. The reason why it's down here and not up here is because when I did the transfer, it was pending, so I just wrote it in my variable expenses instead of putting it here. So altogether, I have budgeted my variable expenses to be $200, but it came in at $656.25. I had it budgeted leftover of $2,333.67, but actually we had way less leftover at $1,874.46. So as you can see, we went ahead and went up here to our sinking funds. I have been saving a lot of money this month. I knew I was going to be saving a lot of money this month. So with the extra income that is coming in. So we had budgeted a leftover of $2,333.67. For my emergency, I did budget $1,000. For my 100 envelope challenge 21 and 22, I budgeted $42, and then I budgeted $44. Actually, we had $1,874.46. I just put that $1,000 away towards my emergency, and I am just going to go ahead and just fill these envelopes next month, which would be November. So I had budgeted a sinking fund total of $1,086, but actually we only put away $1,000. I had budgeted a leftover of $1,247.67, but we actually had way less than that at $874.46. So as you guys know, we just go ahead and just bring that down here to our extra savings for account 1, 2, and 3. So for account number 1, I had budgeted $625 to roll over, but we actually rolled over $635.03. For account number 2, I had budgeted $92.72 to roll over, but we actually rolled over $87.05. For account number 3, I had budgeted $529.95 to roll over, but we actually rolled over $152.38. That's because we spent some money within our variable expenses in account number 3. So that's how come it's less than what I budgeted for. So altogether, we had budgeted a savings total of $1,247.67, but actually we had a savings total of $874.46. And this is a look at week 4 Paycheck Budget Tracker. Like I have stated, I am keeping up with my budget. I'm just not like recording as often as I should be recording. So yes. Okay, on to the next one. So we do have week number 5 in October, and this ran from the 27th all the way through the 29th for me. Starting in November, we're going to be doing the budget a little bit different, but I'm going to go over that with you guys in November's budget. So this Paycheck Budget Tracker ran from the 27th all the way through the 29th for me, which is just a couple of days because I did start my budget on the 30th of October. For November, that's because certain bills were coming out and my payday was within that time, so I just decided to start that time. So going into November is going to be different. So we're going to start with our info section. So for account number 1, I had budgeted $635.03 to roll over, and that's exactly what happened. For account number 2, I had budgeted $87.05 to come over, and that's exactly what happened. For account number 3, I had budgeted $152.38, and that's exactly what happened. And then I did have another transfer of $200. I budgeted $200, and that's exactly what happened. So altogether, and then source number 3, I did not budget for, and then we received $10.03. So altogether, I did budget $1,074.46 to come over. But we actually had $1,084.49 come over. So as you can see, the last week of October, I did not have any bills, so our fixed expenses were 0. So I did have a budgeted amount to be left over of the $1,074.46. But actually, we did have $1,084.49 for our variable expenses. So for food out, we had budgeted $30. My daughter, I budgeted her $200. Gas, I budgeted $60. Miscellaneous, I budgeted $30. And groceries, I budgeted $80. For food out, we only spent $7.47. For my daughter, she only spent $17.98. We didn't get any gas, no miscellaneous charges came out, and no groceries this week. So altogether, I had a variable expense total budgeted at $400, but we only spent $25.45. I had budgeted a leftover of $674.46, but we had a leftover of $1,059.04. So over here, things kind of got a little out of hand, or out of something, because as you guys can see, I had added up everything, and I do everything digitally, so I'm not for sure why I had a leftover of $18.64. I'm thinking that's somewhere within the budget, and I'm not even going to worry about it, because I know next time that I was just lazy, didn't want to find the $18.64, so I just charged it. I had budgeted $674.46 to come over. Budgeted. I had budgeted account number 1 at $435.03, account number 2 at $147.05, account number 3 at $92.38. Altogether, we have budgeted a savings total of $674.46, but actually we started the month of November with $1,084.49. When I looked at my account balances on the 29th, In account number 1, I had $637.59. In account number 2, I had $269.07. And account number 3, I had $133.74. So all that equaled up to $1,084.49. And when I did the math, I subtracted everything. It did leave me with the $1,864. And like I said, I'm not going to be worried about that right now. I'm just going to leave it there and just let it go. It's not like a big number, like hundreds of dollars. So somewhere I miscalculated some money. And it did leave me with $18.64. So we are going to be starting off November with these numbers right here. So this is a look at our October paycheck budget tracker for week number 5. I am playing catch up, as you guys all see. I did go ahead and go through the whole month of October with you guys. The next video will be me closing out October, the whole month of October. So I would like to thank you all so much for joining me today in this budget with me. And until next time, you guys take care. Bye-bye.